fade. Oh. Okay. Hi, I'm Ruby. Welcome to my first vlog. Yeah, I guess I don't really know yet if this whole vlogging thing is really going to work, so definitely let me know in the comments if this is something you would like to see more of from me. If you know me already, you probably know that I have no shame about showing my face on Instagram, and I also have a podcast with my friend Jordan where we talk about all kinds of topics in the horse industry, some controversial, some not so much, and yeah, I think this is like the next frontier for me in my sort of evolution of being comfortable being uncomfortable. You probably wouldn't know this about me now if you didn't know me then, but I used to be, and I do think I should say used to be because I don't think I can really claim this currently anymore, but I used to be really painfully shy, to the point that even like one-on-one face-to-face conversations were difficult for me. I wouldn't say that's really true anymore, but definitely anything where I need to be seen is still a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I think like this is the next phase of me getting comfortable being uncomfortable is the best way I can think to say it. You know, when I first started really using Instagram to try to share my information and my knowledge, I kind of came to this conclusion that if I was really going to actually make a difference, if I was really going to share the information that I had about horses with enough people to actually make a difference, that I was going to have to do that in a bit of a public setting. And Instagram at the time was what felt most natural and easiest for me. But it took me a long time to feel comfortable showing up in my stories or in posts and reels or whatever with my face. Like that was really difficult, or with my voice. Actually, my voice sometimes is even harder for me than my face. I got used to that feeling. I kind of put myself out there and I was like, if I'm gonna make a difference, if I'm gonna share this information, I'm gonna have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I did that, conquered that. And it was, you know, the next thing was I wanted to start a podcast with my friend Jordan, and we have so much fun. And to be honest, I don't really think a whole lot about it when we're recording because I feel like I'm just talking to Jordan, and the producer is my sister, so I feel like I'm just like talking to friends. And you know, that piece is pretty easy, the conversation and the talking about the topics is pretty simple for me. But I cannot listen to the episodes. Well, I shouldn't say I can't. I will not listen to the episodes. It's still really hard for me to listen to it and think about how a listener, you probably, hear that. And, you know, again, I've just gotten really uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Sorry, really comfortable with being uncomfortable. And, you know, we still record podcasts. We put them out all the time. I think they're probably pretty good. I don't know. I enjoy the conversations, but I don't listen to them. Can I help you? Okay. So, you know, this is the next iteration for me. This kind of long form content. I think I probably can share a lot more information here. I probably can make a lot more of a difference on this platform. But definitely it's vulnerable for me. It's uncomfortable. I feel like I am very exposed, and obviously right now I'm like nursing my baby, and somehow that feels less exposed to me than the fact that I'm like in front of the camera talking about my thoughts and beliefs about training horses. So don't really know what that's all about, but will you please let go of my hair? Thank you. Yeah, I think again, just that idea of like, this is going to be uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Yeah. And then that just made me kind of start thinking, like, as I was thinking about this whole idea of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, I think that was really like the theme of my day today. So today was my first sort of full day back at work after having a baby. And that was It was a lot of things. It was really exciting because, when I first found out I was pregnant, and again, like, this is going to be a very vulnerable episode, so I'm just going to go there. But when I first found out I was pregnant, my first thought was, what am I going to do with my horses and my career even, I just started this riding school, and I started my riding school in June, and I got pregnant I found out in December. So, I was like 6 months in to this new business, and things were finally starting to feel like I had some kind of rhythm, and they were a little bit predictable. And then I got hit with this big news, and of course I was super excited. I've always wanted kids, so that wasn't an issue for me, but the issue was, how do you be an equestrian and be pregnant? And how do you be an equestrian and be a mom? And that for me felt really scary and really daunting. So I continued to ride and train until I stopped training any horses that were sketchy, like any horses that I was like, there's a good chance I'm gonna fall off this horse. I stopped immediately. But I did continue to ride safer horses until I was 20 weeks. And then at that point, the reason I stopped was because I was on this like 16-2 warm blood, and I realized after having a very uncomfortable ride that I was not really enjoying, that I didn't know how I was going to get off without getting my belly in the way. And so at that point I was like, okay, it's probably time to stop. So I stopped riding. It was the longest I've ever been without being on a horse. But I continued to teach, and I kept teaching lessons up until about 2 weeks before I had my baby, because one morning, it was about 7 a.m. I was at the barn. There were very few people out. I keep my horses at a boarding facility. It's pretty busy usually. There's always someone around. But on this particular morning, it was going to be really hot, so I was going to start early, and I had 3 lessons lined up at I think it was 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and then right in a row. And then I was going to go get out of the heat, put my feet up, and rest for the rest of the day, because at this point I'm 9 months pregnant, right? So I'm at the barn. I was like, I'm just going to lunge this horse real quick. She might be a little bit fresh before her lesson. Make sure she's warmed up and everything's going okay. And I got her in the round pen, and no sooner than I got her halter off, I was like, oh, I'm about to pass out. Which, I know that feeling because I have passed out many times in my life, and I've never been grateful for that before, but now I am very grateful. I had the whole, the world kind of started to turn green, and I started to kind of lose my hearing, and I started to get a little lightheaded. So I squatted down, and I waited, and I felt better. And I'm in the round pen with the loose horse that I'm round penning because I thought she might be a little fresh. So, real safe. And I start to stand up, and as soon as I stand up, I'm like, oh no, it's worse. I'm definitely gonna pass out. So I went down on my knees, and I waited a few minutes, and then I tried a third time, and I was like, nope, still not good. So I went back down on my knees, and I sat there for a few minutes, and then somebody walked by, and they were like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't think so. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. And she helped me just get out of the round pen and to a chair. So I got to a chair, and then I called, thankfully my mom lives 5 minutes from the barn that I keep my horses at. So I called my mom. My mom was actually she was packing to go out of town. She was gonna leave in an hour. So I barely caught her. She came and picked me up and took me to her house. And I canceled lessons for that day. And after that, I pretty much stopped handling horses. This was, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before she was born. So I was very, very bored. As somebody who usually is really active and busy and always on my feet and always running around outside, sitting on the couch for 2 or 3 weeks was pretty rough for me. I was very bored. I started knitting. Actually, I've always been a knitter, but I knit a lot more than normal. I was going through a ball of yarn every 2 days. I started watching a lot of reality TV, and just doing whatever I could to keep myself entertained, but I was very, very bored. And I was really ready for my baby to be born because I wanted just something to do, really. And I felt like when she was born, I'd feel like at least I had some sense of purpose. And it really started to get to yeah, I think that's really it. It's my sense of purpose, my sense of what I'm doing is helpful and is beneficial to the world. Just a hard feeling to miss that. I can see really easily now why so many athletes get depressed when they have an injury, because it really, like, it takes your sense of purpose and just, like, shreds it. So anyway, she was born 9 days early, which I am just very grateful for, because the labor was perfect. Everything went really well. She's healthy. She's happy. But it was 9 less days of me sitting on the couch waiting for something to happen. So that was really exciting, actually, as strange as that is. Yeah, she's been perfect. And I was planning on taking several weeks off after she was born to figure out sort of how to be a mom and how to bond with her and how to be, continue to function as, like, a member of society. But I, of course, just, like, dove all into, like, Babyland and did nothing else for a solid 2 weeks of, like, just keeping this baby alive 24/7, which I loved. And I love being a mom, and I love having her in my world, and she's healthy and happy and perfect, and everything's been amazing. But you know all that because that's what people say. That's the story. But I'm very lucky that I felt that, because I know that not everybody does. But yeah, so we had this amazing experience. The first 2 weeks were beautiful. And then I started to get the hang of keeping this little person alive, and I started to really miss my horses. And I had a couple of pretty big emotional events where I was like, it's time. I need to get back out with the horses. And so luckily I have a setup where 2 of my horses are at the place that I live, and 2 are at a separate facility. I have lots of reasons for that. Maybe I'll get into that in another video, but it works for me. It's the way that I set it up on purpose. And so I was able to start going out and seeing the horses at home, at least, which was really nice. About a week ago, I started just teaching lessons to people that could handle their own horse. So people that had their own horse or could handle my school horses completely on their own, that didn't need any help, which, maybe feels like a low bar to some people, but I teach a lot of beginners, and I love teaching beginners. I find a lot of purpose in that, because I believe that the horse industry as it stands right now is the barriers to entry are too high. It's really hard to get into riding, and so many people want to, and I feel like anybody who wants to get into a sport should be able to get into a sport, and especially one as, like, magical and fulfilling as horseback riding. Like, it should be easy for people to join. And not only is it expensive, which I can't do anything about, unfortunately, that's just the fact, but it's also dangerous. And if you get past those 2 things, you have to find somebody who will teach you, and there's just not a lot of people out there that will teach beginners, and I understand why, for sure. But I really find a lot of fulfillment in teaching beginners. I really enjoy doing that. So that is something that I can't really do with a baby. So I started only teaching people that were a little more advanced, that could handle their own horse with no help. And that felt so good. So today I finally went back. I taught my first beginner adult today. And I also taught 2 other lessons. So I had 3 lessons today, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I also travel for lessons. So 1 was off-site, and I had to drive to it, and that ate up a big chunk of my day. And then 2 are at my place where I keep my school horses. And it was a lot, to get back out there after all that. And it just kind of brings me back to this idea of, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. There's so much to navigate. There's so much to sort out. I love being home and taking care of this baby, but I also feel so passionate about what I do for a living with the horses and with the education, that I just really feel like I need to be able to do both in order to feel like a whole person. And also, I can't do both at the same time, which is a challenge, right? So it's not safe to take a newborn into a barn full of horses. So today I was really lucky in that my partner Ty was able to come and hold the baby while I taught, and that was really great. That's not always going to be possible, and so I'm definitely trying to navigate how to keep her safe and sorry, you can tell how tired I am. How to continue to bond with her and continue to enjoy these early days that are so sweet and beautiful and precious. And also fill the part of me that is the horsewoman and that needs to feel like I'm doing something good for the world. And I know, like, you know, teaching people to ride isn't necessarily like the most good for the world thing, but I can certainly think of worse things. And I definitely believe that the more people that have a solid education in horsemanship and riding, the less horse neglect and abuse we'll see in the industry and in the world. And the more we lower the barrier to entry to the sport, the more people we invite into the sport, the more people will be more educated about you know, how to care for horses properly and what horses need. And I also think horses heal people. I know horses heal people because I have my own story of healing the horses, and that probably is another video. But yeah, I just feel like that to me is my purpose, and that is my job, is to be out there teaching people about horsemanship and riding, and I can't do that and hold my baby and nurse my baby all day long. So navigating that has been really tricky, but I think what I came to is that in this kind of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, hi beautiful, I have this amazing opportunity, because we live in a time where this is possible, to teach sort of, I don't know if remotely is the word, virtually, right? Like I can offer ebooks and courses and workshops virtually, and YouTube content, and really continue to do this work of teaching people how to be better equestrians. I think we're running out of time here, the boss says, while also taking care of my baby at home and holding her and rocking her and loving on her all day, because that's important too. And that's also really important, fulfilling work. So anyway, let me know if this is content that you're interested in. Let me know if this is a format that you would like to receive information about horses. And yeah, I'll hopefully make more of this. So all right. Oh, that's not the right sign off? Yeah. Until next time. How's that one? Is that better?